All right, so get ready because today we're doing a deep dive into restaurant chains,
Ooh.
the ones that are on the brink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gave me a big stack of articles and reports,
Yeah.
and it looks like some of these brands are
Hmm.
facing some pretty strong headwinds.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We always think of these chains,
Yeah.
like they're kind of invincible,
Right.
but then you see these reports and you start to see like all these challenges
Right.
that are all kind of coming together like a perfect storm.
Exactly.
You've got inflation, you've got
Yeah.
the labor shortages, supply chain problems,
Yep.
changing tastes,
Right.
all this stuff accelerated by the pandemic.
Totally. And it's not just one thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's this whole combination. And these aren't like,
Right.
little obscure mom and pop places. This is like Red Lobster,
Yeah.
Applebee's,
Yeah.
Subway. Like these are names everyone knows, places you've probably eaten at.
For sure.
So like what are some of the biggest trends that you're seeing in all this stuff you gave me?
Well, one of the things that really stands out to me is the decline of casual dining.
Okay.
Those sit-down chains that were once the place to go for a family dinner or a night out with friends?
Yeah.
They're getting squeezed from both ends.
Oh, so they're losing out to like fast casual and also the more like higher end places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like on one hand, you've got Chipotle.
Yeah.
Places like Panera Bread offering fresh, customizable food
Right.
at a decent price.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, you have those chef-driven places.
Right.
And more unique experiences for people looking for something special.
So casual dining is kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, they're in no man's land.
Yeah.
They're not fast enough,
Right.
not cheap enough,
Uh-huh.
and they don't have that unique experience that people are looking for.
Okay, so they're not this and they're not that.
Exactly.
So like Applebee's and TGI Fridays,
Yeah.
the reports mention they've been slow to like adapt.
Yeah, a lot of those chains,
Yeah.
their menus are seen as kind of tired and predictable.
Right.
And a lot of their locations,
Mm-hmm.
especially those in malls,
Yeah.
are struggling with declining foot traffic.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because the reports also mention
Right.
that malls decline
Yeah.
impacts chains that aren't even in malls.
Right.
So how does that work?
So it's all about perception.
Okay.
So as malls lose their appeal,
yeah.
the brands that are in them, even if they have standalone locations,
Right.
can suffer what's kind of like a halo effect.
Interesting.
It's like they become tainted
Yeah.
by that struggling mall environment.
So, like,
Yeah.
if you're an Applebee's that's, like, out on a main road,
Uh-huh.
you might still be seen as, like, yesterday's news.
Right.
Because people associate the brand with failing malls.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And speaking of brands that might be seen as yesterday's news,
Yeah.
the report you highlighted about Red Lobster
Right.
really kind of stood out to me. It
Uh-huh.
seems like they were doing pretty well
Yeah.
a few years back. What
Yeah.
happened?
So Red Lobster's story is a great example
Okay.
of the dangers
Uh-huh.
of relying on unsustainable promotions.
Okay.
Remember their endless shrimp campaign?
Oh, yeah. I remember those commercials.
Yeah.
Mountains of shrimp everywhere.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great deal at the time.
It was a brilliant marketing tactic
Okay.
to get people in the door.
Yeah.
But then seafood prices started to go way up,
Uh-huh.
and it really backfired.
Okay.
Suddenly, endless wasn't so profitable.
So they basically got trapped
Yeah,
by their own promotion.
exactly.
They created this expectation of cheap, unlimited shrimp.
Yeah,
And then when costs went up, they couldn't keep up.
exactly.
Wow.
It's a lesson a lot of chains. We're having to learn.
Right.
You can't just lure people in with discounts.
Mm-hmm.
You need a sustainable business model,
Okay.
one that can handle changes in the market.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like Red Lobster's situation seems kind of unique
Yeah.
because they're so reliant on,
Right.
one expensive ingredient.
Yeah.
What about chains that have like a broader menu?
Okay.
Are they more insulated from price swings?
It's true that a more diverse menu can offer some protection,
Okay.
but even chains with a lot of different options,
Yeah.
they're facing challenges when it comes to managing costs.
Okay.
Take Outback Steakhouse, for example.
Yeah.
Rising beef prices
Okay.
are really cutting into their profit margins.
That makes sense. I mean,
Right.
steak is like their,
Right.
their bread and butter.
Exactly.
So are they responding by like raising prices?
Well, it's a delicate balance.
Okay.
Raise prices too much, you risk alienating your customers. But if you don't adjust,
Yeah.
your profits take a hit.
Right.
So Outback, like many other chains,
Yeah.
they've had to get creative.
Okay.
They've experimented with smaller portions.
Right.
introduced more affordable options,
Okay.
and even looked for different ways to source beef.
So they're trying to keep their main thing,
Right.
but also, acknowledge that people are sensitive to prices.
Exactly.
Is this something that, like, every restaurant is dealing with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Cost management is a huge challenge in this industry,
Uh-huh.
and it's gotten even harder in recent years,
Okay.
what with inflation and supply chain problems.
Makes sense.
Even something as simple as a chicken wing
Yeah.
can become a problem when
Yeah.
prices go crazy.
You're talking about Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another one that stood out in the reports.
Yeah.
I always thought of them as like recession-proof.
Yeah.
Wings, beer, and sports.
Right.
What could be more appealing?
But the report mentioned
Mm-hmm.
they're really vulnerable to these price fluctuations.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, it's because Buffalo Wild Wings
Yeah.
is essentially like a single ingredient restaurant.
Oh.
At least it would come to their core offering.
Right.
When the price of wings goes up,
Yeah.
it really impacts their bottom line.
Uh-huh.
And they don't have much wiggle room to adjust
Okay.
compared to a place with a more diverse menu.
So like a place like Chili's
Yeah.
could swap out a side dish
Right.
or offer a different protein if
Yeah.
prices spike, but Buffalo Wild Wings is stuck with the wings.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It shows you how vulnerable a lot of chains are
Right.
when they rely on a single product or a limited menu.
Yeah.
It might work when times are good,
Uh-huh.
but it can be a real problem when the market changes.
So we've got casual dining struggling,
Yeah.
Red Lobster caught in a shrimp trap,
Right.
Outback,
Uh-huh.
balancing price and portion size. Buffalo Wild Wings facing the
Yeah.
crazy chicken wing prices.
The wing sanity.
And it seems like even the fast food giants
Right.
aren't immune to these pressures.
Yeah.
The report mentioned Subway is facing some pretty serious hurdles.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they basically invent the whole eat fresh thing?
They did.
Didn't that happen there?
You're right. For a while, they were like the kings
Yeah.
of healthy fast food.
Right.
But it's a good example
Hmm.
of how even a winning formula
Okay.
can fail when a brand loses its edge.
So what went wrong? Was
Right.
it just that people got tired of $5 footlongs?
It's a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
Subway's success
Yeah.
was built on a few things.
Yep.
Affordability,
Mm-hmm.
convenience,
Right.
and that perception of healthiness.
Right.
But over time, those things started to
Yeah.
crumble a bit.
Okay, let's break that down.
Okay.
So how did their affordability become a problem? I mean, weren't they always known for being budget friendly?
They were.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of their appeal.
Right.
But then other fast food chains
Uh-huh.
started offering more value,
Okay.
and the ingredient costs rose.
Right.
And the Subway's prices
Uh-huh.
didn't seem like such a good deal anymore.
So those $5 footlongs
Yeah.
weren't feeling like $5 footlongs.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the convenience factor?
Okay.
I mean, people are busy.
Right.
That grab-and-go model
Uh-huh.
seems like it would still be appealing.
It is, but convenience has evolved.
Oh, okay.
The rise of delivery apps
Right.
like Uber Eats and DoorDash has changed things.
Okay.
Now you can get pretty much anything
Right.
delivered right to your door.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to go to Subway anymore.
So they're not just competing with other sandwich shops.
Right.
They're competing with everything.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about that eat fresh image? Didn't that give them a leg up?
It did for a while,
Okay.
but it also became a trap.
Oh, how so?
Well, consumer tastes changed.
Mm-hmm.
People started wanting
Yeah.
higher quality ingredients,
Oh,
more diverse flavors,
yeah.
and Subway's offerings
Yeah.
started to seem a little bland.
Okay, so eat fresh. But the definition of fresh was changing.
Exactly.
It's like they were holding on to a life raft
Yeah.
that was slowly deflating.
The perfect analogy.
And then on top of all that,
Yeah.
they got hit with those lawsuits.
Yes, those franchise lawsuits.
Yeah, what were those about?
Well, franchise relations
Yeah?
are a really important part
Uh-huh.
of any successful chain.
Right,
And Subway's model, with all those individual owners,
right. Thousands of them.
it's always been complex,
Okay.
but in recent years, things have gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
Franchisees are complaining about all sorts of things.
Like what?
Unfair royalty fees,
Okay.
forced discounts,
Uh-huh.
a lack of support from corporate.
So they're getting squeezed from the outside by competition and changing tastes.
Right.
And from the inside by their own franchisees.
Exactly. It's a recipe for disaster.
Wow. So it shows you
Yeah.
a brand's success
Uh-huh.
isn't just about the food or the marketing.
Right.
It's about the structure
Yeah.
and those relationships.
Exactly. If those aren't solid,
Yeah.
the whole thing can fall apart.
So we've got casual dining losing ground, fast food facing its own problems.
Yeah.
What about those chains that are tied to those struggling malls?
Wait.
Are they all doomed?
It's a tough environment.
Yeah.
But there are a few that are trying to adapt.
Like who?
Sparrow, the pizza chain.
Okay.
They've been hit hard by the mall traffic decline.
Right.
But they're trying to reinvent themselves.
How?
By focusing on smaller, non-traditional locations.
Like what?
Like airports and college campuses.
They're going where the people are, instead of waiting for them to come back to the malls.
Right.
Smart.
They're also changing their menu.
Okay.
Offering higher quality ingredients and more customizable options.
So they're realizing that the old food court model just doesn't work anymore.
It's not enough.
They're trying new things.
They are. What about some of the other mall staples?
Yeah.
Like Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or Hard Rock Cafe.
Right. Are they making similar changes?
So Ruby Tuesday has had a rough time.
Okay.
They even filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
A few years back.
Okay.
But they're trying to make a comeback by focusing on smaller, more efficient locations. And a menu that's all about value.
So back to basics.
Yeah, familiar favorites.
Is it working?
It's too early to tell.
Okay.
But there are some good signs.
Like what?
They're attracting a loyal following in the communities where they've reopened.
Okay.
And their focus on affordability is really resonating.
Makes sense. People are watching their wallets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want a good, solid meal
at
a decent price.
Right. But what about Hard Rock Cafe?
Yeah.
Where the experience is so important. Right. Can they really adapt?
They're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
They rely on tourists and with travel patterns changing and the novelty of themed dining wearing off.
Yeah.
They've had to get creative.
Okay, so what do they do?
They're trying live music events.
Okay.
Partnering with local artists. Offering more localized menu items.
So they're trying to be more than just a place to buy a t-shirt and a burger.
Yeah.
They want to connect with the community.
It's a good move because nostalgia only goes so far.
Right.
To survive.
Yeah.
You have to offer more than just a trip down memory lane.
So we've seen some chains diversifying, downsizing, reinventing themselves, but some are doubling down on what they do best.
Right.
The report mentioned Domino's is actually doing great.
They are.
Why is that?
So Domino's is a great example of embracing technology and efficiency. They were early adopters of online ordering, mobile apps, even things like that pizza tracker.
So they saw that convenience was key.
Yeah.
For the pandemic even?
Exactly. Okay. And they simplified everything to focus on making and delivering pizzas quickly and efficiently.
Makes sense.
They don't have a huge menu. They don't try to be everything to everyone.
Right.
And that focus has really worked for them.
It's like they're the anti-Subway.
Right.
Subway tried to be everything.
Yeah.
Fresh, healthy, affordable, convenient.
Yeah.
And they spread themselves too thin.
Right.
Domino's just said, we make pizza.
Exactly.
And they built a whole system around that.
That's a great observation.
So it shows the power
yeah.
of specialization and really focusing on doing one thing well.
Exactly. And it's something other chains could learn from.
Especially the ones that are struggling.
For sure.
So we've got chains adapting, chains focusing on their strengths, and some that are just barely hanging on.
Yeah.
What about the ones that are somewhere in between?
Okay.
The report mentioned Boston Market as a chain that's struggling to find its place.
Yeah, they're an interesting case.
Okay.
Because they're kind of in their own category.
Right.
Not quite fast food, not quite casual dining.
Right.
Their focus has always been on that home-style comfort food.
Yeah, I always thought of them as like a healthier alternative to fast food.
Right.
You know, roast chicken and veggies.
Exactly.
Instead of burgers and fries.
But that positioning has become a problem.
Really? How so?
Well, as we've been talking about, tastes are changing. The definition of healthy has expanded. It's not just grilled chicken and steamed veggies anymore.
Right.
People want more diverse flavors, plant-based options, meals that fit their dietary needs.
Right.
So Boston Market's menu is starting to feel a little limited.
Okay, so it's not just about healthy anymore.
Right.
It's about all these other things.
Exactly. And on top of that, they're facing competition from meal delivery services.
Likely.
like Blue Apron and HelloFresh, that offer that same home-cooked vibe, but with more variety and customization.
So they're getting squeezed by the changing definition of healthy and the rise of these meal kits?
Exactly. It's a reminder that even chains with a solid niche can be vulnerable when the market changes.
So we've covered a lot here.
We have.
Casual dining, fast food, mall-based chains, even those specialized places. But there's one category we haven't touched on yet. Breakfast. The report mentioned that even IHOP is facing challenges.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I thought breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Surely people aren't giving up on pancakes and waffles.
Well, it turns out even breakfast isn't safe from disruption.
Okay.
IHOP is facing a few issues.
Like what?
Declining breakfast sales.
Okay.
Rising ingredient costs. And some failed attempts at rebranding.
Oh, yeah, that whole IHOP thing.
Exactly.
Trying to be the international house of burgers.
It didn't really work.
It really didn't.
It's a classic example of a brand trying too hard to be something it's not. Consumers saw right through it.
Yeah, they did.
And it just diluted their core brand identity.
Yeah, it's like they were chasing a trend. Instead of sticking to what made them successful.
Exactly. And it shows you authenticity matters. Consumers can spot a fake. From a mile away.
So if rebranding isn't the answer, what is?
Well, they need to refocus on what they do best. You know, delicious, affordable breakfast, a welcoming environment.
Like, remember what made people love you?
Exactly. It applies to any brand that's struggling to stay relevant.
Well, this deep dive has been packed with insights and things to think about. We've seen chains innovating, chains retrenching, some still figuring things out. Before we wrap up, I wanted to get your take on one more chain from the report. Chuck E. Cheese. They're facing their own unique set of challenges, right?
Yeah, they are. Chuck E. Cheese is interesting because they're not just a restaurant. They're like a whole entertainment destination. And that brings its own challenges.
It's like they're in two different industries.
Exactly.
Food and entertainment.
And both of those are changing so fast.
Like on the food side, they've got those same cost pressures.
Rising ingredient costs, labor shortages, all cutting into their profits.
And then on the entertainment side, it's like they're competing with this whole world of, you know, digital entertainment.
That's tough.
Video games, YouTube, streaming services.
You got to compete with everything.
It's a tough spot to be in.
Today's kids, they've grown up with so much technology that wasn't around a generation ago.
So like a ball pit and some animatronic animals.
It's not enough.
Just doesn't cut it. So what's the answer?
Well,
can Chuck E. Cheese compete with Fortnite?
It's a tough question. But they are trying.
Okay, so what are they doing?
So they're adding more modern games to their arcades, trying virtual reality experiences, even partnering with some popular video game franchises.
So they're trying to stay up to date?
They're also trying to improve the whole experience. Upgrading their facilities, better food, more engaging environment.
So they're trying to be more than just nostalgia.
They have to offer something that's exciting for today's kids.
But they can't alienate you know, their core audience. The families that are looking for, you know, a familiar, affordable, fun place.
It's a balancing act.
It is.
Between being new and staying true to themselves.
And will they be able to do it?
I think it comes down to understanding what families want. What they're looking for.
What's appealing to them.
Exactly.
Well, this has been really eye-opening.
Has been.
We've covered so much.
We have from casual dining to fast food, mall-based chains, even breakfast now.
It seems like every part of the restaurant industry is feeling these changes.
It's a fascinating time to be watching.
It is. The old rules don't apply anymore.
The brands that will succeed are the ones that can adapt, innovate, and connect with their customers.
So what are some of the things you think our listeners should remember?
I think one of the big lessons is brand loyalty isn't what it used to be. Consumers have so many choices. They're not afraid to try new things.
So restaurants have to work harder to keep their customers.
Exactly.
So it's not just about good food.
It's about the whole experience.
Right.
A welcoming atmosphere, friendly service, showing that you value your customers.
It's also about technology.
Yeah.
Efficiency. Making things convenient and enjoyable.
Exactly. Those are the brands that are going to do well.
This has been a great deep dive.
We covered a lot.
We did, from the challenges to the trends to the potential solutions.
Right. And hopefully it's given our listener some things to think
about their own dining choices and the future of these restaurants.
I hope so.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.
For another deep dive.